Installing ACCUQUIET D18 sound mat. Preparing the area. Before you begin installation, it is important to prepare the subfloor. First, check for any nails or screws which may be protruding above the floor surface. Failure to do this could cause tenting of the sound mat, which could possibly cause a weak floor. Inspect the area for gouges, holes, or gaps. Drive screws and nails into the floor to create an obstruction-free surface. Use a wide drywall knife to scrape up any leftover globs of wall compound. Thoroughly sweep the entire area to remove all construction debris. Repair all holes and gaps. A quick fix is to use drywall compound as a filler. For major holes or gaps, contact your general contractor. Part 1. Perimeter and penetrations. It is now time to install your isolation strip. Using a slap stapler, affix the isolation strip to the wall, making sure the bottom edge is flush with the subfloor. Your staple should be placed every few feet in the top 1/3 of the strip, allowing the bottom 2/3 to remain free of any punctures. In corners, be sure to pull the isolation strip taut, creating a sharp 90-degree angle and affixing it to the wall using a staple on each wall, close to the corner. In the case of pipes or supply lines, wrap each with a small piece of isolation strip and secure with duct tape at the top of the strip, once again allowing the bottom 2/3 to remain free of obstruction. Your room is now prepared for installation of the ACCUQUIET D18 sound mat. Part 2. Unrolling the sound mat and creating joints. Kick the roll of sound mat across the floor, parallel to the wall where you wish to start. The black textured surface will be against the floor, leaving the gray fabric surface facing upward. Butt the end of the sound mat up against the wall, kicking it into place and ensuring that it is tight against the installed isolation strip, leaving no more than 1/4 inch gap. Your D18 sound mat is easy to cut with just a razor knife, or you can use a small specialty circular saw, making it even easier. Once you determine the approximate overall length you will need, rough cut the opposite end of the sound mat, leaving about 3 fingers width of extra mat. Press the mat into the seam where the wall meets the floor to create a sharp 90-degree angle. Cut along the bottom of the wall so the sound mat fits tightly against the isolation strip, leaving no more than a small gap. Repeat these steps with each successive strip of sound mat, laying them side by side across the room and ensuring that each seam between sound mat strips is flush, leaving as little gap as possible. Remove the adhesive liner along the edge of each sound mat and overlay the adhesive strip onto the adjoining sound mat. Press into place to ensure a firm bond, such that the 2 pieces of sound mat stay close to each other. Carpet layers trick. To achieve a good fit on butt end joints that may have been rough cut, use the carpet layers trick. Simply overlap the 2 ends and cut firmly through both at the same time. Then remove both cut end pieces and achieve a fitted cut with very little gap. Use tape to seal the joint. Part 3. Flanges, closets, doorways, and angled walls. Round holes. In the case of round holes, such as a toilet flange, feel through the sound mat to locate the flange outer edges. Then cut a large X across the top of the flange, being careful to stop your cuts at the flange outer edge. Then cut around the flange, removing each pie-shaped piece of sound mat until the flange is fully exposed. Closets and pantries. When installing the mat into a closet or pantry, first slide the sound mat over and pull it all the way up against the far wall to be sure you will have enough length inside. Then, using your razor knife, mark the location of the near wall on the edge of the sound mat so that you'll know where to make your cut on the near wall after sliding the mat back over. Starting with your mark, make your cut along the near wall first, then follow the cut around the corner along the edge and back into the closet. Fold the sound mat into the closet and make your final cuts there for a nice tight fit with very little gap at the wall. Angled walls. Run your sound mat up against any angled wall, ensuring that you leave enough excess to keep the entire mat from edge to edge above the wall-to-floor seam. Press the sound mat tightly into that seam, creating a sharp 90-degree angle, and cut across the bottom of the wall. Remove the excess and keep a nice tight fit against the wall, leaving very little gap. Discontinuing sound mat at doorways. There are 2 options in making doorway transitions. The first option is to create a bulkhead pour stop using something like a piece of drywall corner profile. Run the sound mat up to the doorway, cut to fit, and install perimeter foam. Use tape to make a seal along the edges. Another option is to create a half-moon shaped cut, extending out beyond the doorway into the adjoining room or hallway approximately 18 inches. Your half moon should overextend the sides of the doorway as well, running along the outside wall approximately 6 inches on either side. Then tape the sound mat to the floor in the hallway along the edges. Contact your superintendent to determine which option was planned for your building. Part 4. Sealing and finishing installation. Using duct tape, affix the sound mat to the isolation strip along the entire perimeter of the room while attempting to create a relatively square seal. In corners, be sure to keep your tape tight without any bunched up or messy globs of tape. Affix the sound mat to any utility penetrations, once again, keeping the tape tight, neat, and fairly square to the floor. If any isolation strip has become loose or damaged during installation, repair it with a slap stapler. Repairing wrinkles. Wrinkles in the sound mat can easily be fixed by simply cutting directly through the wrinkle along its entire length. Allow the two pieces to overlap or cut again with the carpet layers trick, then seal with tape. Your ACCUQUIET D18 sound mat is now installed, and your room is ready for your next stage of construction. Key points for installing ACCUQUIET D18 sound mat. Prepare the subfloor. Hammer all nails and set all screws. Scrape up any drywall. Sweep the floor clean. Staple the perimeter isolation strip to the walls and tight into the corners. Unroll the sound mat tight against the end wall. Make sure the mat edges are tight against each other with very little gap. Seal the mat neatly to the perimeter isolation strip. Remove any wrinkles and seal with tape.